Hey, everybody, this is Stuff I Heard Podcast, and I'm your host, Josh Peak. This is episode 206. It's April the 1st. Happy April Fool's Day, everybody. I'm wearing my lucky shirt because it's April Fool's Day and I'm a fool. But yeah, so I have Jan in the studio today. Say hey, Jan.
Good morning.
Jan was here early on. Back, I actually had to look it up, but he was here episode 108 a year ago. May 25th, so and that was quite a while ago.
Almost 100 episodes later.
100 episodes, yeah.
Wow.
It's been quite a while. I'll tell you what, it's grown into more than I thought it would be, which is good and scary at the same time. Because again, it was just a hobby. It was I don't know. It was one of those things where when it started off, I literally listened to so many podcasts. I was like, I have a lot I want to talk about, and I'm in the truck with these guys on a regular basis, and we have holy crap moments where we talk about the strangest, craziest stuff, and I thought, what's stopping me from doing my own? I mean, I know a lot of interesting people. You were one of the most interesting people that I knew.
That's sad.
No, it was. It was
no,
you
I'm
have a
just
very
kidding.
Interesting past, and I was like, God, if I could get this guy to talk about his past, and you did. You came on and you gave a great history of what it was like growing up in the Czech Republic and learning to play hockey and becoming a professional hockey player and coming to the States and all of that entailed. And I remember at one time you and I riding together, and I said, you had to learn all these different languages, working in different areas because you got to get along with people and you got to learn to communicate. And so everyone has like a tertiary knowledge of each other's language in a way, from like German to Italian to French to American, English, in a hodgepodge of it all. But you've been here, in the States for quite a while now, and I think I asked you one time, I said, when you dream, do you notice a language, or does it change, or is there moments where it blends, or is it just a subconscious thing if you don't even think about it?
I know what the dream was about, what was happening, who was saying what, if I remember the dream, but I never could figure out if it's English or Czech. I know what people were saying, but I don't know. When I wake up, I know what the problem was, but I don't know.
So it's like a subconscious thing of you don't even think about it.
Must be.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, sometimes when I'm on a truck and I'm by myself and I say I have to count some pieces and stuff, I sometimes like catch myself and have to realize if I'm counting in Czech or in English, and most of the time it's in English.
Yeah.
Because it happens sometimes if I'm doing it in my head, I go and count in Czech, but a few times so it kind of blends. I guess I've been here long enough and speaking the language that it kind of doesn't really register what language. The process of the counting is there, but the language is, I don't register which it is.
Yeah.
But
I think I heard that somewhere. Actually, I think it was a Billy Crystal movie years ago called Forget Paris, where he goes to Paris and he meets this girl who's an American, but she's working in Paris, and he's there to bury his father in the beginning of the movie, and they lose his father. He was in the war, and so he gone to bury his father with his friends, and they lose his father at the airport, and she's like the liaison or whatever, and they eventually move back to New York where he's like a basketball referee. Again, this is a shitty movie, but but he asked her, he's like, do you dream when you dream, do you dream in French or do you dream in English? And she goes, it's in French, but with subtitles. And I was like, that's kind of cute.
yeah, I guess.
I think that's the first time that idea ever popped in my head of, if you have an immersive type culture, what really happens in your subconscious. And it's interesting you say that, because again, English is not necessarily your first language, and yet it's kind of your main language now, and it's just it's so different from my life. I mean, I tried to have a moment the other day. I was talking to a guy named Ron White who, grew up with his parents from Hungary, and so he had to learn to speak different languages as they were sea merchants, and they traveled around to Italy and Greece and
By the
France.
way, he did one of my tattoos.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
When he was on Irby Street there.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know who
he
is.
he and I asked him, I said, when you were going through that, what was your go-to language at the time, and he's like, whatever we were speaking is what we had to learn to speak. And he goes, it was all just immersive. Whatever you were immersed in, that's what you kind of pick up on. So that kind of helped make a little sense of it, but it's just interesting because it's so different than my life. I mean, I've lived a very pedestrian life in comparison.
Yeah.
But again, I think most of the people out there listening or watching on YouTube or whatever have that sort of the same feeling. Most people never travel 50 miles outside of where they're born. That's even visiting. I mean, but also most people never live 10 miles from where they were born.
Yeah. I think for me, it's more. I keep in touch with the culture and the language because first of all, my mom still lives there, and because of the media and internet, we are able to talk very much for free every day, and we do that. I am in touch with my mom a lot, especially now, and also, I always read the Czech news. As much as I read the U.S. news, I go online and read the Czech newspaper pretty much every day, especially where there was sports, which is not now. But that probably helps too. That if I'm sometimes thinking in my head or cussing, it's still in Czech at times. So, but how I said, I'm in touch with the country and the culture, and reading in that language and talking to my mom probably keeps me kind of still in between at times. So.
With this coronavirus thing going on, I mean, it's especially terrifying if you have older parents, that are dealing with the issues. How bad is it over there where she's at?
So they're in Pilsen, Czech Republic, and I think for 2 or 3 weeks now, the whole country's been under a quarantine. That means that, and also they have a order that if you go to public. At public or anywhere you go outside of your home or garden, you have to wear a face mask. The face mask is not a government issued or anything. It could be anything from a scarf, as long as you're covering your nose and your mouth, which they know it won't prevent for you getting it because they are not the, what do they call it, PF whatever number proof, but people been making them at home. There's a shortage, whoever has a sewing machine, they can make it, but as long as you're covering your nose or your mouth at public, you're fine. If you get caught not doing it, I think the fine is like 3,000 crowns, which is approximately with this exchange like $125, $150. Now I'm so, I don't want to say over this, but I just don't know what to think about the virus anymore, because you turn the Czech media on, or the European, and then several others here, and you have several other doctors and people saying this and that, and I just don't know what to think anymore. Everybody's saying something else. Everybody's saying it's 26 more times contagious than flu. Then you have it's the same or less. I just am to a point where if my wife comes from work and tells me what's going on, I tell her I don't really want to speak about coronavirus. I don't care. I don't think our government or our governor, I don't think McMaster is doing enough or same or it's not uniformed with North Carolina. There is, I don't want to go on a blabber about this, but I'm displeased, I guess, with the uniformity, the informations we are getting, and the way the state acts. I don't.
The crazy part is I got one of my best friends is in Albany, Georgia, where there's kind of a hotbed for this right now, and he's in infectious disease as a nurse practitioner. He was exposed at work, or they thought he was exposed because of a patient testing positive that he came into contact with. So they had him self-quarantine. And I was like, okay, well, let's just say you self-quarantine for 2 weeks, but you didn't have it, and then you come back to work and you get it from someone else who has it. And now we're learning that it sits on objects for up to 5 days, on your shoes, stuff like that. And it's like, really? And I listen to a lot of different people talk about it, because it is everything everybody's talking about right now. Yeah. Dr. Drew is one of the top people that is like a famous celebrity doctor. He has several podcasts, and I listen to his Dr. Drew After Dark. And he said more than one time, he said, the thing is, there's so much we don't know that we're learning every day, that it's the thing that seems like misinformation is just us going, oh crap, I didn't realize that. He goes, and it's, the top guy that's in charge of this for the nation. He goes, I see him on TV. He and I work together on SARS. We work together on H1N1. bird flu, swine flu, all the stuff. He goes, he's the top guy you want on this. He's like, and even he's, I have conversations with him. And he's like, we're learning so much every day about what this thing is doing, and it's hard to recreate a vaccine for it. He goes, the reality is the vaccine normally takes 3 years from the time you identify it and culture it and all this other stuff. And the president's like, that's not quick enough. And he's like, okay. And they go to the drawing board and everybody's working towards it. And it's not a thing where one country now is working for it. The whole globe is working for it because these companies realize, number one, it'll save lives, but number two, it's a moneymaker if they can do it. If they can pump out this virus, this vaccine for everybody, this will save a lot of people and it'll sell. So there's motivation to do it, and they came back and said, 18 months is as soon as we can do it. Well, it's still 18 months worth of us going through this.
It's a long time.
And being a father, being a husband, you get questions. What do you think? What do you think? And of course, my go-to is, I don't know.
Yeah, I do the same.
It could potentially be all the way up until we get the vaccine that this lingers because of the contact and the way it transfers. I just touched my face again.
Exactly.
I can't stop touching my face.
But the funny part is you always realize it after you do it, right?
Yeah.
Same thing.
I didn't realize how much I touched my face in a day until they came out with this thing and said, don't touch your face.
I guess is it still there? Is it still
there? I just did it again.
Yeah.
I think I've touched my face more since they said don't touch your face than I did before they said don't touch your face. But it's literally like you'll get an itch on your nose or your forehead or something, and your hair's in your. With me, my hair, because my wife wants me to grow my hair out. With me, my hair, because I'm always moving my hair out of my face, and it's like, I just touched my face again.
Yeah,
I'm going to be patient zero. This is going to be how it ends.
No, so now, what do you think about all the numbers, the different numbers, how many people, the rate of the infection every day, everything else?
I think that it's all misreported. I think that
I agree.
Countries like China and North Korea obviously are not reporting everything that's really happening. I think there's a lot of countries that don't know. Even our country don't know, because if you're asymptomatic and you're coming into contact with people, you're just transferring to everybody you come into contact with, whether you realize it or not. And it could be something as simple as, I had to go get medicine today at the store, and the clerk at the place just happened to bump into the guy who's delivering the stuff, and they just happened to touch the right pen or the right something, piece of paper or, whatever, an inanimate object, and it transferred. All these people could be asymptomatic and then transferring it to everybody else. And it's like, okay, on one hand, you go, but I'm healthy. I should be fine, right? But then there's people that are healthy that are getting this.
Yeah.
And it's not as common as the people that are over 65 with breathing problems, but it's less common, it seems to be, with people who are young and healthy. And
But then we could compare it to a flu, because there is also cases where people who are sick and pre-existing conditions get a flu and die of it, and also you have cases where kids or people were perfectly fine and they can get into a serious condition or die of it also. What I have a problem with is that, and I don't want to sound insensitive toward human life. However, we don't see how many people a year die in Italy, and then add the numbers to it that are really a death because of a coronavirus, or are they that are dying with a coronavirus, which there is a lot of people who would most likely die within 12 months or 6 months anyway. But if they would get the flu, now in this case is the coronavirus, they die, and now we are counting it into the stat with the coronavirus.
Right.
And it's the same thing. So the numbers are super deceiving to me, because there is a lot of and big number of people that would die, how I said, within 6 to 12 months anyway, with any kind of a complication with already what they have and their weak immune system. Now, I don't want to sound like a doctor or whatever, but that's what I gathered. And the numbers are all together, and as soon as you get a coronavirus, but you maybe had already stage 4 cancer that you are on the end, but you on the end, because of your immune system, you get a coronavirus, you are already in that bucket with the coronavirus death. And it's not, I don't think it's fair to the numbers at all.
Yeah, it is very misleading in a lot of ways, because again, like, the number one thing they're checking for is your temperature. And it's like, okay, but what if you don't show symptoms yet? What if you have it now, but you get it?
Or at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you could go through the whole time of having it and not show any symptoms. You asymptomatic, but everybody you came into contact with gets it because you seem fine.
Exactly.
So you don't think about extra precautions. Neither no one else thinks about extra precautions when they're with you.
Judge, what do you think about the daycares not being included and being still open, even we are closing, obviously, non-essential businesses, which this is essential to a lot of people, but at the same time, we closed all schools, and there is still young enough kids in those elementary schools that need a care after school if parents are still at work.
Well, and you know, the crazy part is the world doesn't stop turning. Bills keep coming in. You know, for us, you know, our business, you know, delivering food, our business has been affected obviously because a lot of businesses can't be open or hasn't learned to adapt, and there's a lot of people who are eating at home right now. They're just going to the grocery store and coming home, and you know, all that other stuff is just seen as non-essential now. So they're like, I'm not going out to eat. I'm not going to go spend this extra money. I'm going to save as much as I can just in case, and you know, because of that, it's affected us. It's affected our livelihood. To a point where if you didn't plan ahead, you're really panicking right now. You know, luckily they just signed that $6.2 trillion stimulus package, and I'm like, okay, well, how does that help me? That was the first question I had, because I thought, well, I know how my pay is affected and my wife's pay is affected, but our bills aren't affected. Our bills are still coming in. So she and I actually went through the process, and we filled out for the partial unemployment due to the coronavirus affecting our work situation. Now, her company gave her a letter saying this is an official letter saying this is what we're doing.
And this is how it's affecting you.
Yeah, our company hasn't given us that, but it is affecting us the same way. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. I mean, I applied for it a couple days ago, and I haven't heard anything back. So I'm sure they're inundated with just thousands and thousands of these applications to read through and figure out, okay, who's trying to scam us and who's really needing help. But you know, let's just say you were a server or a bartender, or, you know, you cut hair for a living or something like that, and it was your livelihood and it paid all your bills barely, and now you're in this situation.
So you get $1,200 plus $500 a kid, and
when is the $1,200 coming?
And good luck.
They don't have the $1,200.
Exactly.
I mean, I haven't seen a check in my mailbox.
No, they don't. You know, it might not be a May or June before the money is out to people.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
and it's $1,200.
I've got a son that lives in Washington State, and I was like, you know, he works at a sandwich shop. I said, "Are you okay?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "What are you doing for food?" He said, "I'm on food stamps. I don't make enough to earn enough money for food and rent, so I'm on food stamps." He goes, "And the food stamps are still coming in." I said, "What about your rent?" And he said, "They made a law here that they can't kick us out if we miss rent."
Yeah.
He's like, we're fine.
I think it's here too, or I saw it on a ticker yesterday where the energy companies can cut your power off now if you're behind, which I guess, but it's so cruel to everybody.
It is cruel to everybody.
I mean, how is the energy company supposed to pay their employees and survive if you have so many people behind? And then good luck collecting after.
I mean, it's nice hearing these CEOs of these big companies saying that we're going to forego a check for a while. Well, yeah, you should. Yeah. You should also forego those bonuses they're paying you, too. Yeah. And maybe help out the economy here. I mean, because people need help, and, you know, this could cripple the entire world. I mean, not just our country. The entire world is going through this.
I think besides China, be honest with you. Because to me, China...
Do you think their communist iron fist was like, that's it?
Yeah.
Like, zone it off. Like, everybody in this area just dies. We're just going to move on.
Well, think about this. I mean, if it really started there, which... At this point, it could start anywhere, and it could start for whatever reason, really infection or somebody put it out, right? I mean, now we are getting into the conspiracy stuff, but if China has all the pharmaceutical companies making stuff there, now they have this kind of a virus that mainly attacks old people. I mean, now, again, don't want to sound insensitive because I have old parents, but... Now, what is really a burden on the economy? If you have an overwhelming number of old people, that's just the expense, right? So now China will get rid of most of the old people. They have plenty of other people because, as you know, they're very populated. And now they have all the pharmaceutical companies, and even, I guess, Bayer's aspirin is made there. So if you get a headache soon, and China has hold of it, I mean, we are going to be with a headache for a while. Yeah. So now they're already sending, there is a plane, a Russian plane, the Ruslan, which is from Ukraine, rent it out to go between Czech Republic and China, bringing respirators and all these vaccines, not vaccines, but test kits. And it goes and lands twice a day. And we are buying it in Czech Republic all from China. And they have plenty of it suddenly. Like they have all the stuff that everybody else needs. It's kind of weird to me.
I mean, it's very easy to think of a holy crap, conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I know.
And if, I always look at the game of Chinese checkers. You ever play Chinese checkers?
I know of
the
it,
little marbles.
Yeah, I know.
You're allowed to move.
Looks like.
You're allowed to move one spot, and it's like that weird diamond, multi-diamond shaped thing. And your idea is domination. I'm going to take over one of your marbles, and every time I take over one of your marbles, I get another marble.
Yeah.
So as you do that, you just gobble up. It's weird they named it Chinese checkers. I don't know if they actually named it that, or if it was some weird, racist thing that they thought up of in the 70s. This is what we'll call it because this is what their mentality is of communism. Whatever the purpose, I'm sure Hasbro or Mattel or whoever came up with it is like, dude, that's not shut up, stop talking about it. But that is sort of a lesson for what they're doing in a way. I mean, we've seen it in our area, them buying up properties in Myrtle Beach. And, after you own enough property, you then get allowed a seat at the table when it comes for the Chamber of Commerce. And then it's time to elect somebody. Oh, my kid was born here. We're going to vote this kid in because he went to law school and now he's an upstanding citizen and he's from here. And he's going to keep pushing our issues. I mean, this conspiracy thing could go on really far.
Exactly.
But if you think about it, they're doing it in a way that is beneficial to everybody, except for the lowest common denominator, the people working in the factories that are making this stuff for pennies on the week.
Exactly.
They're getting paid garbage to basically slave labor everything, but it's for this common good of we're going to keep building this empire, and it's working in a lot of ways. I mean,
it might be just working in their way now, but it makes you think about it because it does play in their cards very well because they were going into an economic recession at this point. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
well, and they've allowed, even through their communist dictatorship scenario, they've allowed capitalism to come into the country so that they have more middle class than the entire globe right now. I mean, they've have so many people doing well in life because they've allowed these companies from America basically to come in and set up operations, which has helped our economy too because I heard somebody say the number one thing we export in America is our culture, which is true. I mean, Levi's, McDonald's, and stuff like that, all the brand name stuff, movie stars, our movie, our movie history, just the music and everything else. The culture is what we export to other countries more than anything else. And
that's interesting, and it's what you said, and it's very true because when you think about it, growing up back home, everybody wanted, even during the commies back then, we all wanted American jeans and American stuff, and look what it's like there, and so I mean that's true.
I mean, what was it? I was watching some movie. This Iranian sheik guy, he was like, all I really want is a Ford Mustang. Like he's just like he could have any car in the world, but he's like, I want an American Ford Mustang. He's like, I want an American muscle car, And I was like, okay, yeah, I could see that. I could see where that would be appealing, But again, it's that thing of what you don't have is what you want. I follow these guys on Instagram, these Japanese guys that live in Tokyo, that literally transportation there has moved almost 99% towards subways and buses, public transportation. There's very little vehicles on the road per se, and these guys have gotten in this weird American hot rod culture where they're taking these old 1930s and 40s and 20s hot rods, they're fixing them up till they look really authentic, but then chopping them up so they look like hot rods. And they're riding around with these, white T-shirts with cigarettes rolled up in the sleeve, and they got their hair in a pompadour, and they're taking cool pictures with nobody on the road.
Nobody on the road.
And it's like, this is so cool looking, But it's the culture. Again, it's that I wanna have a little piece of this Americana, and it makes you wonder what's going to happen in our future as a country. What was it yesterday? I was listening to somebody say that the weird part is having people under a communist regime is beneficial for the overall goal of the government of how do we control these people, but it also stifles creativity and it stifles anything that's going to be cultural. It just holds you back from thinking outside the box or trying to figure out a way to solve a puzzle. Whereas in America, when you have the quote unquote freedom, you're sitting around a lot of times going, how can I do this differently? How can I create the thing that's going to catch lightning in a bottle? And it is that difference of being held under an iron thumb versus going, yeah, you can be anything you want to be. You can be president. Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, it's a different mentality your entire life, So, I don't know. I'm I heard somebody just yesterday go, at least I'm old and I don't have to deal with this crap anymore. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It's going to be their problem. It's not going to be my problem anymore. It's going to be their problem. I was like, whoosh.
Yeah, speaking of China, again, I saw and heard that there is videos of how they suddenly depressed the amount of infections and stuff that they actually went and grabbed whole families out of their houses and shipped them somewhere to the camps. I doubt that if they did, that they did it for them to get well, but they really dealt with the infection very drastically when it comes down to moving people to certain areas and stuff like that, which I wouldn't doubt.
Oh yeah, well, and the crazy part is, it could have been helped in the beginning with just some regulation on how they handle food. I mean, as simple as that.
If that's what it is, I mean. Again,
if that's what it is, if it's not a Illuminati plot to take over the world, I mean.
Yeah, and
it could be
population control. Here we go, right? It could be. I mean, anything at this point. I will take any conspiracy or any explanation.
Well, even with us sitting around watching the president sign a $6.2 trillion stimulus package, well, that's socialism.
It is socialism, and at the same time, I had I wish I would remember the name. He went on the radio and stood up against this deal. And when he calculated where all this money is supposed to go, there is still a huge amount of money that nobody knows where it goes.
Yeah.
Through this deal.
Yeah.
So.
And everybody signed off on it.
Yeah.
Everybody
signed off on it. Yeah.
It was originally $2.2 trillion, and then from them saying that to them signing the paper, it jumped to $6.2 trillion. I'm like, what?
Exactly. And when
that
he
money?
And he actually had the math behind it. He was saying, okay, thing about it is, you have this amount of families making this amount of money. That's what goes to them, what they say, and all the other stuff. And he said, where is this money that's left over from all this going? Mm-hmm. So.
And even with the breakdown of it, there's still money spent there that I'm like, why are you spending on that? It's ridiculous things that shouldn't be for the people. And it's like, I get the fact that you're trying to help the economy keep going, but like, why do you need to give $28 million to PBS?
Yeah. And there is all
what's
other...
the point in that?
Yeah.
Is PBS that big a deal? I don't know. I mean, I don't watch PBS. I mean, not since I was a kid.
I guess if they want to keep us a little bit happy, or the older people that will be locked up in
Netflix.
our houses soon.
What do I need PBS for?
Exactly.
The internet can literally access everything. Everything.
Speaking of Netflix, I'm bored, so I started a Tiger King.
Oh yeah.
It's if it's true and the document is say 80% accurate and stuff, which I believe it is because there is some serious footage. It's mind blowing. Those people are beyond crazy.
Well, listen, I watched Narcos and realized that cocaine was a really big deal. I mean, I kind of heard about cocaine, but I didn't realize what a big deal cocaine was until I watched Narcos, and I was like, holy cow, this country was fueled by cocaine in the 80s. Yeah. Jeez. But then you watch something like Tiger King. I haven't seen it, but I just watched the previews. And in the previews, the guy's like, he took my arm. And the guy goes, it's going to be okay. It really is. It's going to be fine. I was like, I'm not watching this. No.
Not
but that's cocaine. That's what that
is. Spoiler alert. That person was back at work like within a week without an arm.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people have already watched it.
You're not going to watch it at all?
I'm not going to watch it at all. No.
So yeah, I became the craze stat here that I
haven't watched it and I already know Carol killed the dude. So
yeah, I know, right? I mean, I heard so much about it that now I'm watching it. I'm like, when is this going to happen?
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah. But I'm on episode 6, so I'm just going to finish the 7th one, be done with it. But it's kind of cool that you can see the guy from Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
He's on it. But just a quick short story. When we used to go and boat on an intercoastal waterway, we came with our friend, and he had a boat too, and we kind of went back and forth and followed each other, whatever. And we went on this sandbar, and we were hanging out, and he goes, I saw a guy on an elephant in an intercoastal waterway. And we were like, Mike, like, you're drunk. Like, we've been riding boating a whole day. Okay, whatever. So I'm never pay attention to it anymore. Like, he said whatever. He goes, I think it was elephant. I swear to you. Well, I'm watching this show, and they have a segment, or, they jump back and forth from these different big cat owners or zoos. And there's this guy that has it at the beach, and he's on an elephant going in an intercoastal waterway to bathe him, and there is this boat slowing down and people watching him, and he's got a back gate that butts up to the intercoastal waterway, and all his property is on there. So now I gotta tell him I'm sorry, because he probably really saw an elephant in an intercoastal waterway.
Wow.
But anyway, how I said, I just wanted to mention it, but people are crazy if the document is.
I love
really
the memes that have come out of it, especially the
yeah.
one
Somebody
with
showed me. I saw a tiger today or something.
Yeah,
with the cat. Yeah.
I like the one with people do this a lot with the husband and wife in bed.
Yeah.
And she's like, I wonder if he's thinking about other women. He's like, I could have owned a tiger for $200. It's like,
yeah, but
oh my God.
Does it surprise me? People are this nuts and crazy, and no, but is it fun to watch sometimes to make you feel normal? I guess.
I guess. I get that way with these murder mystery shows. When I watch those murder mystery shows, I'm just like, I don't know. There's something about seeing them, and I guess something about being in the Marine Corps. At a certain point, you have to ask yourself, okay, I've learned over the years that you can't unsee some things. You can't unhear some things. Mm. There's some things you learn about life that you go, why do I ever need to know that? Like, that's some unwanted knowledge that I wish I could just take it out of my brain and go, no, that's not. Let's forget that image. Let's forget that thing that happened. Let's forget that interaction. PTSD type stuff. And I see this stuff, and people are fascinated with it. I'm like, I can't wait to watch it. I'm like, is there a moment where you can just step away and go, this isn't for me? I don't, because I know if I watch this, I'm gonna have dreams about it. It's gonna be in my lexicon, and I see stuff like that. The guy getting his arm ripped off by a tiger, and my first thought is, well, of course that's what happened. Duh.
Yeah.
I got a friend of mine that Josh Treadaway. He's been on here a bunch of times. He's like, I want a monkey. I was like, oh, that's a terrible idea. You should totally do it and let me film it. That's gonna end horribly. Like
the lady that had the chimpanzees or orangutans.
Yeah.
And they attacked her and pretty much ripped her face off.
That's the first thing they go after is your face.
Yeah. They're just if they're cute and cuddly and they play, but when they attack, I mean, they're
a wild animal.
They're most, but they're vicious too. Tiger is straight up, right? Tiger will be like bite your neck and eat you. These things, they will tear your face up first.
Yeah.
So
I listen to Joe Rogan a lot, and he talks about animals, the way animals attack people and other animals and stuff like that. And he's like, a bear will literally step on you and eat you, butthole up, or legs. It wants to keep you alive as long as possible, so blood keeps flowing to all the organs. But it'll eat your extremities and your butt first, and then it'll eat you alive while you're screaming, and it won't stop. He's like, a wolf is kind of the same way. He's like, really, a big cat's the way you want to go, because a cat will kill you first. He goes, that's how I want to go.
After its neck.
Just go after my neck, and then I don't know what happened. And then you can snack on me all you want. He's like, that's, if you're going to pick an animal to die from, a big cat's the way to go. And I'm like, I never thought of it that way. Thanks, Joe. Now I have that knowledge in my head.
That brings me to the guy in Colorado that was jogging like a year ago, and the mountain lion attacked him and he killed it.
Yeah.
That's tough. He was in the hospital with a couple of cuts, but I guess that shows you like what you can do if it really your life is online.
Well, that guy, I remember when that happened, Joe had a guest on, and he said, do you think you could fight off a cat? And he goes, I mean, I might have a chance. He's like, but if it's over 60 pounds, no. And he's like, really, 60 pounds? He goes, that thing is all geared for death.
Yeah, it's muscle. It's all muscle and attack. Yeah.
He's like, I do run with a knife now. He goes, but ever since that story came out, I went, maybe I should take a knife. But again, my chances are low.
if I'm running and already taking a weapon because of this, I'm probably picking a gun. I don't know.
Jeez, it's incredible. It's that terrifies me.
Why would you choose knife? I mean, you either wanna just easily survive, or you just wanna still have a fight. I mean, what is
like
knife gonna do?
That lady on Life Below Zero. It's on Net. Was it Net Geo or
the one that lives by herself there?
Yeah, above the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, and she's got a refueling for the planes.
The bear attacked her. Yeah, she had an adolescent bear attack her, like gnaw on her face, and it thought it killed her.
Yeah,
and then she apparently wasn't completely dead. She got up, went and got her shotgun and killed that bear. She hunted the bear down, killed that bear, and sewed her face back on and ate the bear later. Yeah. She's like, it was an adolescent bear.
I didn't see that part, but I know who you are talking about.
I was like, holy. And that's what got Joe's attention. He had her on the podcast, and she talked about it. I was like, holy crap, what an experience. But she was like, yeah. She goes, I just realized that it was going to kill me. And then when it didn't, I was surprised. And I thought, okay, this is obviously an adolescent bear. It doesn't know that it hadn't killed me.
Yeah.
If it was an older bear, it would have just killed me and then ate me later. She goes, but this one was an adolescent. It thought it just thrashed me around enough to kill me. She goes, but it didn't. So it was my job to kill it.
See, I didn't know that happened because I don't watch it religiously, but if it's on and then I
didn't watch it until then. When I heard about it, I was like, oh, I got to check this lady out.
See this.
She's hardcore, man. She really is. But, again, it was one of those things where once I heard about it, I was like, now that's in my brain. Now that's knowledge. And, people are crazy about all these shows on Netflix, like the show You, where this guy's a stalker. I can't watch it.
It just will freak you out, huh?
Just watching the previews I go, no, not watching that. No, forget it.
That's the same thing as my friend. We both have dogs, and we sometimes will go together to the Lynch's River Park, and he will go a lot by himself. And then he handed me a book about, I haven't read yet, but about the circular in this area, Gaskin.
Oh, yeah, Pee Wee Gaskins.
Pee Wee Gaskin.
Yeah.
And he told me, if you read this book, you're going to be carrying a gun in the park where we go if you're by yourself. He goes, because I do now.
Yeah.
So I haven't read it yet, but that's, I guess, the same thing.
I remember as a kid hearing about, or, kid coming up, hearing about them catching them, and then they would get close to killing them, and he would release, information about where more bodies are buried. And he goes, I just remember some more bodies. So they keep them alive to keep finding out where these bodies are because they can then have closure for the families.
Yeah.
But he kept releasing more and more information about where this body was found and where that body was found. And it was like, holy cow. But yeah, that dude's terrifying.
Pretty strange about most of these serial killers are such a smart people,
Well, it's like the thing crazy. With Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, is that good?
I don't want to watch it.
But is it? But I
haven't seen it.
Really?
I don't want to watch it.
One of the movies on my list.
It's almost like the more fantastical or crazy it is that it couldn't be real, the more I'm like, okay, I'm good with that. Like Starship Troopers is extremely violent, with the weird bug-looking aliens and they're fighting against them, and it's very fantastical, and I have no problem with it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's all fake.
Yeah, it's too far
There is that
out.
separation in your brain of this is fake, but then you watch, like I got really into the show Vikings, and Ragnar Lothbrok is a really cool character, neat story, a lot of violence, but there's some weird separation in my brain where I go, yeah, but that was a long time ago. I don't know if there's a weird separation of time, but like even like The Matrix being totally fake, tons of gunfire, tons of people dying and stuff like that, but it's all
dodging
fake.
Bullets
In your brain. It's all fake.
Yeah,
but yet you can watch a YouTube video and someone falls like riding their bicycle and they hit something and fall on their face on the concrete. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, right. True.
As soon as I do it, my eyes water up, my nose feels runny. I'm like, oh god, why would I watch that?
But then you're watching all Vikings and it's.
But like, yeah, I don't know if it's because I know it's just so fake. But
probably because it's a movie and that actual scene and stuff is not real. It could happen, but
like there's shows like Mindhunter where the FBI was learning to determine profiling. Yeah, for serial killers.
Yeah, that's
where they first coined the phrase serial killer. And it's this story, and they follow these guys around and stuff, and it is terrifying to watch because it's not that you're face to face with it on a regular basis. It's just the idea of, this was real and this really happened. And yeah, this is the dramatization of it. But like this past season, I don't know if you've seen it. This past season, they did one about this guy in Atlanta that was abducting kids and killing kids. Mm-hmm. I was living in Atlanta as a kid during this time, and my mom was an ER nurse. And
so you're home alone a lot?
Yeah. and the news would come on, and they would end the broadcast. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? That's how they would end the broadcast, and I would be at home going,
Do you know
I'm
where
at
your
home by myself,
yeah.
and I turn the TV off. And I'm like, Arr!
And I mean, I see it with my kids, and especially in times like this, people will become more desperate, I guess, at times because of not necessary for a food shortage, but money shortage. Obviously, there's no
just
jobs,
paranoia,
and all that. And I come home at times, and my garage door is up, and they're at home, or one of them leaves the garage door up, and I'm like, you see these datelines and whatever, how just two guys during broad daylight walk in the house, and hell happens. And I try to tell them, I said, guys, think about this.
Yeah.
There is so many evil people on the world, and you are just leaving the door open.
And in a lot of ways, there's a very thin veil of security that we have. Like you said, the garage door. It seems like it'd be protected once that's closed and nobody can come in there. How much effort would it really take to get in there? I mean, if somebody was motivated, they can get in there.
Yeah.
Your window, they could break a window easily.
Anything, really.
Anything. Yeah.
It's
like locking your door in public on your car. You're not locking it to keep thieves out. You're locking it to keep honest people out. Because honest people, it just keeps honest people honest.
Yeah.
But if you have somebody walking by that wants in your vehicle, it doesn't matter if it's locked. They're going to get in your vehicle.
Look at the phone. I can just reach in and whatever. Yeah. So that turns them into very opportunistic.
We work with people that drive Jeeps, and I often ask them, I'm like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And they're like, I just leave the doors unlocked. It's a lot easier to replace the loose change in my center console than it is to replace a top that they've cut open to get inside to realize there's nothing but loose change in there.
Never thought of it that way, but it makes sense, right?
Yeah. But I felt like some weird, apocalyptic guy going around to 5 different grocery stores, getting supplies here and there, and putting them in my vehicle, and then walking away thinking, what if I come back if everything's still going to be here?
If people are so desperate and they see it in your
because I'm walking in and out of these stores, and every time I put more stuff in my vehicle, all it takes is one person sitting in the parking lot who's desperate, going,
fill it
that
up.
Dude seems to have a lot of stuff in that vehicle.
Yeah,
Or let's take it the other extreme. Let's say it's not me. Let's say it's my wife. Mm-hmm. She's a lot easier target than I am. Mm-hmm. If there's a lady out there who's stocking up on stuff and somebody sees her, hey, look, an easy target. I mean, it does kind of paranoid me to think, we are on a thin veil of keeping everything together. Joe talks about that recently. He's like, what if the power grid went down? How quickly would we turn into just crazy people? He's like, we went crazy over toilet paper now. He goes, think about if we didn't have power.
At these times. And then just back to what you were saying, when I moved here to United States or came, I couldn't believe that a lot of houses, and most of the houses here, have actually a glass front door. I couldn't get that. I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. Do we have one in my house? Yes. But I'm like, it's like the first line of protection on your house is the door. Front door, right? And I'm like, now it's glass. So if somebody is really desperate, all they do is
break it,
jump through or open it from the inside, and they're in your house in a matter of seconds. And if you're asleep, I mean, good luck reacting.
Yeah.
Even though,
and these people got these door cam things now that sit on their front porch. And I'm like, okay, but what if that's not the point of entry?
Exactly.
I mean, especially if you live on a corner lot.
Well, right. And and who would do that anyway if they have a bad intention?
Yeah, if you had bad intentions and you see the camera, why would you even come at the front door?
That's not the front door. I wouldn't, first of all, come even from the street.
We were sitting here one night. This has been a few years ago, but we were sitting here one night watching TV, and someone knocked on our back door.
After port, and
it was dark.
After deck, right here.
And it was dark. Mm-hmm. It wasn't this deck. It was the old deck.
Okay.
But someone knocked on our door, and I told my wife, I said, grab the shotgun. Mm-hmm. She goes, what? I said, grab the shotgun right now. And when I tell you, cock it. I mean, it was one of those moments where I thought, okay, I guess this is happening now. I mean, there's no reason anybody should ever knock at my back door.
No,
ever.
I mean, even and
now, granted, I don't have
it's
a
your
fence.
neighbor, then he's not dumb enough to scare you like that to go through the back door.
No, not at all.
So what happened?
So I run the guy off, but
so he did actually, or did you tell him to go away?
He came up with a fake idea of we're just going door to door. I was like, not at my back door, you're not. I said, I've already called the cops.
Yeah.
I said, if you come back here, and I told my wife, I said, do it. And she cocked the shotgun. I said, I got something for you.
Yeah.
He took off. There was a car parked out here, and there were several kids that were at different doors just checking to see if anybody was in the area. This may have been around the recession around 2008. They were just checking back doors to see if anybody was home. And
wow.
We called the cops, and, hopefully they went after them.
Yeah, who knows? But,
yeah.
Well,
I didn't call the cops, and they were called the cops because we talked to them about it. But, yeah. But it was terrifying because I was like, I guess we're doing this now.
I know.
I've been sitting here in my underwear watching TV, and now all of a sudden, and I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah, you have a couple of guns at the house, and
so
all
immediately
that,
your brain is just
and you think you are ready, but when it happens,
but you're not.
No, I would be terrified grabbing it, thinking, oh, I gotta do it now.
Yeah, your brain's in a fog.
Yeah,
you're in disbelief.
Yeah. I believe it.
But I get annoyed at these TV shows where, like, there's always a struggle for a gun, and somehow the wife ends up with a gun, and she's pointing it at the guy, and he goes, "You're not going to shoot me." And I'm like, "Of course she's not, because this stupid show is written, and they know people are afraid." And I'm like, I'll pause it, and I'll look at my wife and like, "If you're ever in that moment, pull the trigger."
Yeah,
pull the trigger. Every show that has this happen, the girl ends up getting killed. Pull the trigger.
What does that tell you?
Yeah, between you and him, you're going to make sure you live. You just make sure this happens.
Yeah.
You can repaint, you can move. It doesn't matter. Just pull the trigger.
So just to go off subject and don't want to change it too much, but where do you think this all will go when we come down to the coronavirus, when it comes down to affecting our lives here in South Carolina?
I think that a lot of people are going to lose their homes. I think that a lot of people won't be able to sell their homes. I think that a lot of businesses will shut down and probably won't come back for another 5 years. I think that a lot of families are going to move in together with each other, pool their resources as much as possible. I think it's probably going to take 10 years for the economy to recover. This is just my broad spectrum view of it because I think about it.
That's why I ask you. I know you. You read. You listen to a lot of podcasts. You are.
It's going to be a rewarding system for anybody who can think outside the box of solutions. So one of the things I like to talk about is whenever you're going through an interview process with a company, they ask you a lot of weird questions.
Yes.
They're trying to get a feel for your personality. They're trying to get a feel for who you are. One of the main things they're trying to answer the question of is, when the poop hits the fan, is this guy a problem solver or a problem?
Mm-hmm.
And so you sort of want to pick that out of somebody's character because there's no business that's going to go perfectly. There's always going to be hiccups along the way. There's always going to be things that go a little astray. And you want people in your group that are going to be problem solvers because you're going to need to lean on them. And then one day they're going to be leaders themselves, and you still want that mentality in your organization. You could hire somebody who knows how to do the job, but they're a problem. Right off the bat, you can tell from the interview, and you go, I really don't want that person here. Same thing for the apocalypse. You want people that are problem solvers. You want people that are like, hey, what if we do this? You got to have people who are willing to listen. You got to have people who are willing to speak up and share ideas.
Think outside the box.
Outside the box. Realize the real dangers that are going on, but not in the sky is falling sort of way. But in okay, let's circle the wagons. Let's get some water. Let's get some food. Let's do what needs to be done. Let's take care of these people. But it's going to be those people who succeed from all of this. It's going to be these people that think outside the box like that are going to thrive. Through everything that happens negatively, there's always a positive aspect that comes from it. There's always something that comes from it through either technology or through community that helps society as a whole. I know a lot of people out there are doom and gloom people, and it's all over. Oh no,
I hate that.
And
I'm
not that person.
And what plays in their cards is the earthquakes now too. I'm like, come on.
I mean, those are the same people that buy scratch-offs and go, any day now, buddy, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
last $20 right
here. Are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I am more, I guess I'm optimistic because of just seeing things the way I've seen it for the last 45 years. You know, there's always an upturn to things because people want they want to succeed. They want to make things happen for them and their families. We have kids right now that are going through this as children that are going to go, all right, I'm supposed to have a future in this. What is my future? And, you know, see a need, feel a need. There's always people out there that have that mentality from day one. I see where the world needs this. I'm going to supply it. Here's an opportunity for me to make my money or make my notch or to help people because I lost my grandparents to this or whatever.
Yeah.
So they'll go into the medical field. They'll go into all kinds of things to do with infectious disease. They'll go into all kind of technologies that has to do with, you know, treating people or food industry. There's going to be, you know, tons of things that come out of the food industry to help people have sustainable stuff.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be people that plant gardens that have never had a garden before.
Absolutely.
There's going to be people that have chickens that have never had chickens before.
There is people who are going to actually know who their kids and
right.
spouses are, right?
Right. The question of where you're going is not going to be annoying anymore. It's going to be I'm going over here because of security.
Yeah.
I'm going over here. I'm going to be there. Call me when you get there. Let me know you're safe. Okay.
Yeah, true.
Why not? You know, everything in life to me has an ebb and flow to it. And, you know, there's lots of folks who like to go, yeah, it's not true, man. It's just all going to hell or
yeah, no,
whatever. I don't like to be surrounded by those people because that can infect your brain. You know, you got to have the mentality of, you know, looking at the world the way it is and realizing there is an ebb and flow. And with every positive, there's a negative. And with every negative, there's a positive. I mean, that's why I'm a little nervous whenever things are going my way. I'm like...
I'm the same way. I don't...
Okay, things are great right now. What's about to break? You know, because inevitably, like, everything's fine, and then the heat pump goes out.
You know, I do it even at work.
You know, yeah.
If I get on a truck and I'm like, it's smooth and everything is low, I'm like, watch out.
But it is... I don't know if that's pessimism or if that's just expected reality of... You know, like I said, years of experience.
For me, it's, I guess, more don't get too excited.
Don't get too
because then you get too low.
Yeah.
And too comfortable.
You want to maintain that medium.
And if it's happening really good, well, make sure you are still doing everything properly the way it's supposed to be. Because you know what? You can forget something. You are an hour away. You have to bring it back, and your day is shot at that point.
Yeah.
And it's your fault because you let your mind, you know, wander or your mind down, and you know you made a mistake, and it was nobody else's fault but yours, and because you just let down because it was going too smooth. So it could be that it's not getting. You
know, there is that idea of living in the moment kind of people. I wish I could be one of those living in the moment people. But I am I guess because of being a truck driver, you know, I had this analogy with somebody the other day. I said, you know, as a truck driver, you're always looking down the road. What is coming up?
Exactly.
What's in front of me? What is a danger? Is there a cop on the side of the road? Is there somebody broke down on the side of the road changing a tire? Do I need to change lanes? Is there traffic moving slower that I need to prepare for? Is there fog up ahead? Is there bad weather? Whatever it is, I need to figure out what to do so that I can get myself in position to be safe and to keep them safe. So with that mentality, you tend to look at everything in your life as what's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So you start looking at your months and you start going, okay, so now we just entered April 1st. What's coming up? Okay, May's around the corner. What's going to happen in May? It's going to get hot. Okay, so maybe I need to get the air conditioning guy here to come look at the air conditioning, make sure everything's running smooth. You know, maybe I need to look at the tires. Everybody's tires okay? Everybody got oil changes? Okay, good. We're all good on oil changes. You start going through your head of all the things you need to prepare for the new season. But then also in life, you know, with this coronavirus, you know, you're going, okay, so we're having a tough time right now, and we need to make sure we have supplies. Do we have supplies? And that's where a lot of the panic comes in, is when you go to the stores and you go, well, there's no supplies. And then you look online at Amazon, and there's nothing on Amazon. You're like, okay, listen, I used to be able to buy stuff on Amazon. Why is suddenly everything out of Amazon? But, you know, I guess because of living in South Carolina and we've dealt with hurricanes so many times, it's really not uncommon for us to go to the store and see empty shelves.
Exactly.
We just go, all right, we can't get that right now. And you find workarounds as you go. You find things you go, all right, so we're eating chicken for the next 2 weeks, guys. Or you go, I got pork. I got a lot of pork in the freezer. We're going to eat lots of pork. Sorry, you know.
Exactly. But, you know, how you said about the empty shelves, I mean, initially, you know, people panicked and like they do before hurricane, and
Yeah.
then it took a little longer this time. But
now the whole
eventually-
country's doing through that, you know.
Yeah, but eventually now when you look at the stores, I mean, you can get chicken again.
But
and all
we're
that
also
stuff.
very lucky in the fact that we live in South Carolina, in Florence. We're in a major thoroughfare between I-95 and I-20.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff is traveling on our interstates towards us all the time, whether we realize it or not. We could be somewhere in Montana right now where we're just like,
End of the road where you have
Nothing.
to actually make a special
Yeah.
trip to.
yeah, where trucks take 2 days to get to you
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
if they're coming to you from Denver or wherever. You know, I don't know where they come from, but if you're waiting on supplies, you could just be waiting. But if you live up there, you also get used to that because of the snow, because of the ice, and you have a survivalist mentality. It's a
you
different
do, and
life.
you probably do have already little extra supplies to begin at any point of the year.
Yep.
But what kind of surprised me, and I never thought of it, and maybe I'm just the only one, that the toilet paper situation. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I just couldn't understand why that is an essential to a lot of people.
I know.
and I was like, I was walking into one of the stores, and there was two guys. They were a little bit of a yahoos, and they're like, "Are you here for toilet paper too?" And I looked at him, and I'm like. Do you see the leaves on the trees?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, like, or does
I
your,
got a lot of extra
I'm like-
T-shirts.
yeah, and I was like, does your neighbor get a newspaper?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, like this is the last thing on my mind. I
Yeah.
told him I'm here just to see if they have chicken that I can cook tonight, not even stack up. I don't really care. And they were like, oh, okay, but I just never understood that that's such a priority for people to have something to actually use after bathroom. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But the thing, if I ask my mom, in Europe, that was the same thing. A lot, they all bought toilet paper too. So I was like, I guess that's
Well, that is a weird thought
priority.
that you have when you look at it. Shows like The Walking Dead, where it's the end of the world supposedly, and there's nothing but zombies, and you're going, so what are they using for toilet paper? Because sometimes they're on the run a lot. You never see them like go to the bathroom and be like, I really need to wash because it's been a while. It's like that conversation never happens. But again, you're suspending reality for the show. But yeah, I mean, it did surprise me as well. The weird part is my wife and I both grew up very poor. I mean, we were po. We couldn't afford the other two letters. We were po. So whenever we started doing better in life, we started, talking about, I want to make sure we have extra of this. So we would go to Sam's and we would buy extra stuff like, toilet paper and paper towels and stuff like that. Meats. We had like a deep freezer.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't want to ever go there and not have this. So we actually had a bit of it extra before all this started. And it was like, okay, cool. But then the question of it was, well, who do I know that doesn't have any? So then I started going to the store thinking, maybe I could find some. If I could find some, then I can give it to people who need it.
Yeah.
So that's why I was out and about looking at different stores, just kind of looking to see. And I did go in a couple stores where there were a few, and I was like, I don't want to take it from somebody who needs it from a few. I want to find it when the store comes that's got just pallets of it, and then I'll get one.
And then I'll get it. Yeah.
So that I went there one day, I think it was a couple Fridays ago or Saturdays ago. I walked into Sam's and they had pallets of it. And I was like, and it had signed limit one. I was like, cool, I'll just get one. And of course, their box of one is 45 rolls in a container. Yeah. I took a picture of it, put it on Facebook, and I knew that if anybody needed some, they'd reach out and say, hey, is there anybody can get some from you? And, I'd be willing to help. I'd have the means then to help. That was the thing of, if you have the means to help, why wouldn't you? What was it? I forget what I was listening to or watching. I think I was watching Andy Griffith last night. We've been on this Andy Griffith thing on Netflix lately. We started like season 1, episode 1, and there was a thing last night where Opie was getting bullied, and this kid was taking a nickel from him every day, and he really wanted to get some milk for school, and milk was a nickel, and he was like, "He's having to give my nickel to this kid," and he's talking to his dad about it. And his dad was trying to figure out how to help him out, and he said something about there's an old saying that you can give millions, but as a fee, it's harder to give pennies or something like that. As a penance, it's hard to give penny. He said the idea is if you have enough, it's easy to give it away. You don't worry about it. You're like, here, just the donation makes it easy. But if you're expected to do it, then it's like, if I have to give you a penny because you expect it, it pisses me off. And it's true. I mean, in any situation that you have, I mean, let's say you had a whole bunch of steaks in your freezer and you're just like, I got a freezer full of steaks. and somebody comes and they're like, "You need to give me those steaks." You're like, "You need to go to."
Yeah. Or you.
What if your friends call you and you're like,
Or you
"Hey
start
man, we're
giving-
kind of suffering for food. I got some steaks. Come over. I'll give you some."
Or,
Then it's you giving it. You're just helping. You don't mind helping.
or if you're giving them 2 steaks every week, and then you stop, and then the day after they normally get it, they will stop by. I'm like, "Hey, how you been?" Like, and then at that point you realize, oh, they're expecting it now.
Yeah.
Started a trend, and that's when you mind it instead of you just say, "Hey, why aren't you here to pick up your steak?" And they're like, "Oh, thank you, whatever."
Well, and it's that whole thing of giving people extra money or giving people any kind of support whatsoever. Is in a way you don't want to institutionalize people, but in a way you end up institutionalizing people because they expect it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say this stimulus package rolls out and we all get money from it and it helps us pay our bills. And don't get me wrong, it's going to save some people. It's really going to save some people in the short term. But
that's what I'm worried about. It's just very short term.
But also, that's money we have to pay back. Well, it's not free money.
It's funny how they say
not only do we have to pay it back, but it devalues our dollar.
Yeah, and they said, "Oh, it's not. Don't worry about your taxes going home." I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
oh my god.
We're all going to say, remember the days we used to have a dollar menu? Well, that's gone.
Yeah, that's gone.
Our devaluing our dollar is so detrimental. I remember seeing, I forget what it was, some TV show when I was a kid. These guys going and playing golf in Tokyo, and it was outside of Tokyo. It was like in the countryside. It was beautiful. And they were talking about, it costs such and such $1 million to play here. And they were like, what? And he goes, yeah, but they have inflation here. So the conversion rate, it costs us $25. And I was like, wait, what?
What is it like?
That's where I first learned about the value of a dollar.
Million yens.
Yeah.
But it's like $20.
Yeah. I was like, how is that conversion stuff even possible?
That used to be like that in when Italy still back then had liras. And you went there and you had to take like 200,000 liras for your vacation, but in real it was like $200,
Yeah.
And it was like,
how
much is the bread? Oh, it's 500.
They do
liras.
travel shows in Vietnam all the time because they're like, this whole trip only cost us like $30. But in their money, it was like, so many hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was like, if we took the whole family for $30. Like, what? It's crazy, the conversion rate. But now our dollar is becoming that because of this. And it's not just us, it's the entire world. So it's like, at a certain point, you're not moving money. You're just moving numbers. There's no actual paper flying around. Here's your 6.2.
Yeah,
no one's sliding paper across a table.
It's all electronic.
It's all electronic. It's all numbers. It's all worthless. I mean, if you read that dollar, it says on there it's a promissory note. That promise is the fact that we all have faith in it. Yeah. If we lose faith in it, that's not good. That's not good. But I listen to Dave Ramsey a good bit, and Dave Ramsey says, countries have had their dollar fail before, and they've started up with a new currency. And it did take a while to recover, but they always recover. Every time it's ever happened. And he said, do I think it'll ever happen with us? I'm unsure. He goes, I don't think so, but it is possible. He said, but if you have that scenario, don't lose faith in the fact that people are still going to want to make money. They're still going to want to sell things. And you will agree on a currency that you go, yep, this is our currency now. It could be a coin, it could be a paper good, it could be whatever. But you're gonna agree on something that's gonna be your currency, and it's gonna keep rolling. So
well, I just hope it's not gonna get to it at this point or because of this. But
for a long time we've talked about technology and how technology's advanced so much in such a short period of time. I guess technology in a way has advanced to the point of you sort of look around and go, okay, well, what's next? Because is there a TV we could buy right now that isn't the coolest TV you could buy? Is there a phone right now that you couldn't buy that's the coolest phone you could? I mean, what other options do I want this little supercomputer in my hand to do? They also make watches that do the same thing.
I don't think I have an iPhone, but I don't use it probably to the full capacity.
I know, but what's the next thing? So, it makes me wonder, is technology tapped out? Is technology to the point where we go, I've done about as much as I can want to do with technology or can even fathom doing with technology?
I think for average people it is because, how I said, we have stuff in our packets that could send how many Apollos to the freaking moon, right?
Well, I mean, you can talk to your mom across the planet
real
time.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to her every day, and it's
You can see your face. You can see her face.
I've been here 25 years, and when I came the first time or first few years, I would talk to him only once a week. It was like 10, 15 minutes. It cost like $70, right, each time. And the team that I played for, the junior team, would pay for it, but they would like, do not go over 10, 15 minutes a week. I'm like, okay. And, now I'm driving home from work. I'm like, what is mom doing? If you have unlimited Wi-Fi, I mean, a data plan, I mean, I can call her anytime over WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I can see her. I can talk to her several times a day. So it's that in that aspect, it's super cool. Because back then, how I said, once a week a call, and then, when you send a letter, I would get it 7 days later, possibly longer. So this is nice. I enjoy that. But all the other stuff, I mean, there's a lot of functions that you don't need. So maybe we are too ahead of what the average person's needs are.
Yeah. Well, the next advancements, like we're talking about, what's next? I think the next advancements are going to be in interpersonal things with our healthcare, with our accessibility to food, with all the things that we're sort of facing now as a problem.
When you're talking about the health and stuff, are you talking? This is what comes in my mind when you said that. They're gonna put chip in ours where it's controlling everything, your blood sugar, not controlling, monitoring.
Yeah,
monitor. But then again, at the same time, could it actually?
Yeah.
Then fix it, because now
they're working on antibiotics.
This is how my mind works. Okay, I have a pool and I have a salt water system, right? So when you have the salt cell, you are pumping salt water through it. When it hits the electric current, it becomes chlorine. Now, is there gonna be something where, oh, your sugar or whatever is low, we are gonna adjust it by this flow, and it could possibly be. So when
you get updates on your phone, you should run more.
Yeah.
What? How about eat a piece of broccoli?
Well, the funny thing with that is if you have an Apple Watch, that already tells you you've been sitting around too long, right? But
are we going to watch Netflix all day? Yes, we are. We're in quarantine.
Yeah. That's what. Did you read that? Somebody was.
No.
They were. It's funny you say that, because I heard some joke where people said, I guess if you, and I don't have that problem because I don't really do that much, but if you watch Netflix too long, it tells you, do you want to keep watching or something? Does it have a feature?
It still does that.
Okay, so
they're supposed to turn it off, but it still does it.
So somebody said, could you please turn that feature off, Netflix? Because yes, we are under quarantine. We are going to be continuously watching Netflix. But when you said that about the chips and stuff in that's scary to me too, because I mean, when it could be used so many ways.
Oh yeah, it could be weaponized. It could be turned against you.
And don't tell me they don't have the technology where they're close to, maybe it could already control your thoughts or your brain or your actions.
Well, not only that,
could be close to it. I mean, we don't know.
Not only that, but let's just hypothetically say that it comes out in the next 10 years. Okay, who knows? The way technology is going, it's very possible.
Yeah, I believe it's already.
And let's say they're able to monitor things, and they're able to, then they're also going to be monitoring, how late you stay up, what you're drinking, what you're eating. We're talking more and more about legalizing marijuana. They're going to be like, oh, well, you smoked on this night, and you came to work the next day. You can't work that day. Okay, cool. But it's just more and more control on a level of, you take away that freedom, and you just become a cog in the machine of, we just want you to fit in this little bubble. A lot of people are big on the Second Amendment, and I am too. I believe in the Second Amendment. But, I was telling somebody, if the government really wants to come after you, why would they even want to knock on your door and try and take your, quote unquote, take your gun? What they want to do is have you just keep paying taxes. Because that's where they're getting their money. They could give a crap about you. They want your money. And as long as you're semi-happy watching your stupid Netflix and eating your whatever and buying toilet paper in quantities and ammo in quantities, go ahead and knock yourself out. Just keep paying this tax, because it goes up every year, by the way. I read something where the Boston Tea Party started because they raised the tax on tea by like 1%. That was the whole reason for the start of the revolution.
The start of it? Oh, wow.
They raised the tax on tea 1%.
1%.
And yet our taxes go up every year. way more than that.
We mention it here and there,
But our cost of living only goes up like 2 point whatever percent. I mean, I think our cost of living actually goes up 3 point something percent.
Yeah.
But it's like, also in sales, you're expected to grow your sales. If you're in sales, you're always expected to grow sales by at least 3 to 5% every year, no matter what anything's happening in the economy, no matter what national hurricane's going on or pandemic. Why aren't you meeting your numbers? Well, we're going to find somebody else to replace those numbers because we got shareholders to meet and blah, 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 blah. And it's like...
But there has to be a ceiling for that too, unless
there usually is a ceiling. Yeah,
unless you, especially with food, and that means growth of a population, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
well, it's either you take over another company, or you have population growth, and you have a population growth every year, but
not now.
But not now. What if the pandemic suddenly puts a hold on that? What if?
Well, did you see the numbers they were talking about? What did they say? Hope it could hit up to 100,000 to 200,000 lives if it get going here.
We're also going to have a baby boom after the 9 months of this thing starting.
Exactly. That's
people are locked indoors with each other.
How many of these 100 and 200,000 people would die anyway, right?
Corona babies.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be Corona, what do you call it? Generation Corona.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the beer. Well, maybe too, because after the beer.
It's still not a bad beer.
Yeah.
People who are avoiding the stupid beer for this, they're idiots. I mean, it's still great beer.
It is. And you know what? I don't think that it's not gonna, they're actually gonna make more money because there's gonna more people just to buy, like, hey, let's have a Corona party, right? Let's buy Corona. So there's some people who will.
Cinco de Mayo's coming up. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
It's their biggest day of the year.
It is, and it's gonna be maybe even bigger. Even now, people are like, hey, let's buy Corona. It's gonna be funny. We'll have Corona beer. Like, I think it's actually gonna help the brand. Then
I hope so. I hope they don't suffer too bad. I mean, it's a decent company.
I don't think so.
I think hypothetically, I'm
but
out there giving some kind of altruistic idea to a beer company.
Who would who would in their right mind be like, there was a Corona beer how many years prior to this, and then you're like, I'm not gonna buy it. It's got the same name as the virus. I'm like, really? I mean, that
could happen. That very well could happen. There's a lot of idiots out there. You watch the Tiger King.
I know.
There's people owning tigers.
Sad.
There's people riding elephants. I mean, come on.
Well, what about if there is a new virus coming out or illness that will kill even more people and be even more dangerous, and its name is water?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just it, though. I mean, like, the regular flu has killed way more people than the coronavirus has. Yeah. Tuberculosis has killed more people than the coronavirus.
Yeah.
We aren't talking about tuberculosis.
No, we're not talking about... Well, another thing to mention is I lived in Italy for 3 years, and when I used to walk around the town, wherever I lived, and would go through whatever their school system is, like in between like elementary school and high school, they have a different, obviously, system. And during the big break around noon, the whole parking lot of these kids, they are probably like between 13 to 16, would be full, and they would all smoke and stand outside.
Yeah.
These kids. So now the rate of the disease there and how the rate of dying has to have a lot of it, because they have the highest number of population of old people ratio, and also
one of the highest ratios of smokers. Yeah.
So I mean, nobody
China too. I mean,
yeah. I mean, true, because when I used to go to Vancouver and would be in a casino, and every Chinese dude would either like surrender and take half of the bet and chain smoke there. So true. So I mean, those numbers with how many people are dying there on that. That's so how we talked about it. Yeah. It's just you can't really, if you put it in this perspective, it's not gonna be as bad as it portrayed.
I just listened to a podcast this morning. A comedian named Mike Vecchione. He was on the podcast with Bert Kreischer on the Bertcast, and he talks about his dad dying, and he's like, yeah, I got to be there with my father, at the end, and he's like, my father was a very heavy smoker, and then towards the end of his life, really smoked cigars all the time, and he goes, the weird part is I didn't smoke, but I would have a cigar with him once in a while, and it was weird because it was like, I'm sort of hanging out with the murderer because I never thought of it that way until he passed away. And I thought, oh, all those times we hung out and smoked a cigar together, we were hanging out with the murderer and inviting him into our lives. And it was silently killing my dad, over time. And it was just, sort of a weird way to look at it, but it is true in a way.
Kind of a tough way to look at it.
It's like
weird.
It's like if you grew up in an alcoholic family, and after the person dies from alcoholism, you go out and have a drink because you want to celebrate their life, and you're like, oh, I'm just hanging out with the murderer here.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, great. But I don't know. Maybe the side effect of this is it affects the smoking industry. Maybe the side effect of all of this, people go, all right, maybe I need to clean up my habits here and not smoke as much, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For me, I need to lose weight. I know that. I mean, I hear about weight being an issue with these different diseases and stuff. And if you're over 65 and you're overweight, you're in the high category to suffer. And so I'm like, okay, so I need to get this under control. And for kids growing up right now, they're going to go, okay, so here's some things I need to avoid in my life. I need to make sure that I'm healthy. I need to make sure that I work out. I need to make sure I don't smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the change. Maybe that's the positive that comes from all of this. I don't know.
You'll have every house will be like a little militia camp, because you have all these people now doing the workouts at home and stuff. So maybe you'll have like the families that they can be in a quarantine, and you see them in the backyard having like a daily routine, like gangs in the prison.
Or like in my garage, instead of there being wood in one corner, there'll be like a home gym in everybody's corner of their garage. I mean, that's very possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, very likely. My dad and his wife are they're self-quarantining, and I was like, oh, that's great. You're gonna stay indoors and stuff. And he's like, yeah, we're not going anywhere. And I was like, okay, so what happens in 2 weeks when you go out and you just happen to bump into somebody who's got it? I mean, yeah, you stayed inside for 2 weeks, which is great.
Yeah.
But I hear different doctors say
it takes that one time.
Yeah, I mean, but the main thing they want people to stay inside for is it just limits the amount of people that are rushing into their hospital system at one time. This is a long process. It's going to take a long time to go through everybody. But it's just going to regulate how many people get rushed into the system.
And that's what overwhelms the system.
It overwhelms the system. That's where the most people die. So, I mean, yes, be precautious, be mindful of that kind of stuff. And, hey, if you're smoking, now's the time to quit smoking. If you're thinking of changing your lifestyle a little bit, maybe now's the time to do it. I mean, Who knows? I've done a lot of podcasts lately using my phone through this soundboard, which is a mixed bag. It is interesting that I can do it, but it's a pain in the neck in the fact that every single time I've done one, I've had to rewire the stupid soundboard to get it to work. I don't know why. It's the same phone that goes through the same plug into the same board, and it's just a signal. But every single time I do it, I have to rewire the 3 plugs that go into this to get it to work.
So basically,
I've done 4 now
you put it in different plugs, or actually just take them out, or whatever.
I have to take them out and move them to different spots on this board to get it to work. I don't know why.
Now then, can you use the same plugs maybe 3 times later?
Maybe, but no. Every single one I've done, I've had this thing wired differently.
Yeah,
every single one. And I was like, crap. You and I were talking about doing this, and I was like, I wonder if he's going to come over. If he's going to be like, can we do it on the phone? So thank you for being brave and coming out in the elements. And we might be giving it to each other right now. You don't know. People watch this one day and be like, hey, imagine those dudes are sitting around talking about this crap, and they both got it. How about that?
Right.
Who knows? I mean, whatever.
I mean, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna expose myself. But I'm not gonna also be really just crazy about it till the government tells me I gotta stay at home, not go anywhere. And you go to Walmart and then they have the spray bottles there to spray your handle on it. But what about who touches the spray bottle?
Yeah, you're passing by each other in the aisles and you're bumping into each other because there's so many people that are bunched up together.
My buggy handlebar will be perfectly clean, but yet I just touched the bottle that everybody who walked in the store sprayed their handle with it. I mean, there's no really ways. I mean, I saw a guy there with gloves on at Walmart in the aisles, and his phone rang, and he goes, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" I mean,
and your phone's the dirtiest part on your body.
but he yet was touching stuff with his gloves. Then he answers it touchscreen and puts it right in his face.
Yeah,
I mean,
in the world of contamination, then his gloves are infected and his face is infected.
And what do you do with the stuff like bag of chips that has the stuff on it. You touch with your gloves that you put it on or it's already been on, and you bring it to your home. As we know, it can survive on a surface several days. I mean,
think about if you worked in these factories right now making the food that we're selling in the stores or buying in the stores. You know, the extra level of care that they have to have now in each one of these facilities. You know, we pick up stuff all the time from different stores that are, you know, making chicken and, you know, chips and stuff like that. And then you go in these places to pick up a backhaul, and I know they have to be going through just extra levels of care all the time. And God, what a frustrating thing that is. It's an extra expense. It's extra time. You know, you have employees not there. So of course your supply chain is going to be lower than normal. And, you know, it's a lot to deal with. It really is.
Big, huge snowball.
But
effect
again,
on everything.
the people who are going to come out of this are the problem solvers. The people who are thinking outside the box. The people who are like, let's figure out a way.
Yeah.
What's the way? What works? Okay, let's give it a shot.
I just wonder, like, I wish I could know the time frame, and nobody knows about when we can. You know, we like to go places and travel.
Oh yeah.
When we can actually just fly again, and that's not even that, right? The question is, I think we'll be able to fly and travel before all the other stuff we want to go and see and visit and experience is going to be open.
How are you going to clean the planes properly? How are you going to clean the cruise ships properly?
I saw people, I don't know what state, whatever, they were scrubbing the public transportation buses, whatever, even like the ceiling this morning. And then I know that the airplanes have now the special filters in it, right? But what about if it gets to you before it gets to the filter? I mean, it's so many questions.
People are nasty on planes.
With
people
the
sneeze and
then
fart.
they have the put the feet up.
Bare feet on stuff.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's crazy. And people pick their nose, of course. I don't, obviously.
No, never done that.
But people, you know, those people.
Yeah, the nasty
those
creatures.
nasty them we're calling.
But
it gets everywhere. You know, that mucous membrane stuff gets on everything, and then all you gotta do is touch it. So, yeah, I worry about that. You know, the weird part you brought up about, you know, affecting your plans when you have, you know, good things planned. You're like, I remember going into 2020 going, this is going to be such an awesome year.
Yeah.
I've got like 3 comedy shows planned. I've got a music show planned. I may take a trip up to Maine, visit my dad, you know, and I got all these travel plans in my head of what's going to go on.
Hypothetically, can you still go to Maine and do that?
Not right now.
No? There is states in a way where
I don't want to get on a plane.
Oh, you would? What about if you would drive?
It's a 20-hour drive.
Yeah, no.
I would rather not do that.
And by the time you get there, the states go through. They might even close and tell you.
There are some states that are like, yeah.
Did you
like
see
Connecticut and I think Pennsylvania?
If you go through, you have to quarantine yourself for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If you come out of
yeah.
So it would take you maybe a few months because you would have to quarantine at every state for 2 weeks.
If you flew there, you have to make a connecting flight somewhere. So usually my connecting flight, like, I can go from Charlotte to there.
Yeah.
But then you go to the airport. Again, airports do, you know.
and then when you come back home, most likely you would have
back
to quarantine
Charlotte.
Yourself.
Yeah, you have to quarantine yourself
in
again.
South Carolina.
So I just can't do it this year. But like, you know, one of the things we're facing is some of the plans we had. Like we're going to go see Jeff Dunham in Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay.
In March, and they let us know in February, hey, we're canceling because of this coronavirus. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. We had our hotel booked through hotels.com, went on there to try and cancel, and they were like, okay, cool, we canceled your plans. Okay, cool. No refund.
Oh, they were like, okay, you cancel.
you canceled. Good for you. Also, no points. You didn't stay, so no point. No, like I got a point system. They took my money, didn't give me any points.
So you should have said, hey, by the way, actually keep it, I'm coming, and then don't come, so at least you get the points because you're going to lose the money anyway.
Right.
At least get the points,
At least got the points. But I lost both. I was like, okay, well, what the... And then Jeff Dunham, of course, he's rescheduling, and if you're an entertainer, you have your weekends scheduled for shows, and you have to schedule a year out because you got to get the venue, you got to get speakers, you got to get everything that needs to happen for your show, lighting and whatever. You know, the security, the people taking tickets, everything. So you plan your year out. Well, then when they rescheduled, instead of it being a Saturday, they rescheduled for a Thursday. because they're thinking we got to squeeze this in somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you're scheduled for a Thursday. Well, for me, a Thursday doesn't work because I got to work. I mean, before coronavirus, I had to work. So I'd have to take off a Thursday, Friday in order to do it. I'd have to take off 2 days in the middle of the week in order to go to it.
And
which
now,
I get.
Now you haven't worked for a while, so you don't really miss that.
Yeah. Now it's
but
like
it's going to open up.
I can't miss the time whenever it does start up, so I need to sell those tickets. Well, nobody's going to want to pay money for those tickets now.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can resell them. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I can go to it and then drive all night afterwards to come back home. I don't know. I got tickets to see Bert coming up in
very easy. My stepdaughter wants
in
to
May.
see.
I got tickets to see him in May.
Where
they
is
rescheduled those already for August.
Where is he?
He's going to be in Charlotte August 30th.
My stepdaughter is a big fan, so
you want to go?
I'll have to tell her if she wants to go.
I mean, I've got 6 tickets.
You told me about that.
It's August 30th, so it's a Sunday, so we'll have to take Monday off.
Do you think August 30th will be open and everything?
I hope so.
Me too. I'm just like very skeptical right now, and also was gonna ask your opinion about when all this travel can start back up and say all the parks and cruise ships and everything is open.
Disney.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? Do you think it's gonna be severely overwhelmed and people will be traveling and doing stuff like crazy, or it's gonna be somehow leveled even? Because a lot of people won't have the money because they're lost their jobs and everything. And also another question. 3 questions, right? But I lost that third question. But you can start with those 2. So
yeah, money is going to affect people. I mean, obviously, if you have a business and you lost your business, you're not going to have the money to travel.
Yeah.
If you have money and you wanted to book something, you're going to be able to find things secondhand that people are fire selling to be like, I just need some money back from this.
That was my third question. What do you think is going to happen with prices of flights and cruise?
Yeah, it's going to go down. I mean,
you think it's going to go down?
I think so. Is
too.
Anybody on a cruise right now?
Sorry?
Do you think there's anybody on a cruise right now?
No.
Do you think the cruise lines are running at all?
Mm-mm. I know that some of them were offering to transfer into a hospital.
It would almost be irresponsible for them to run a cruise right now if you're a cruise company. And you got to think those companies rely on those ships turning over people every single week.
Quick.
So they're hemorrhaging money. I mean, just hemorrhaging money.
And they're obviously don't even reschedule right now. If their cruise was canceled, they are refunding 100%. If you wait till the cruise is canceled, you get your 100%. There is a lot of people panicking and want their money back and this and that, and then you gotta still pay some fee, whatever, for canceling. But if the the actual cruise you were gonna go on is canceled, you get 100%. So for you gotta wait. And
I know it's something. I had heard something about if you have to wait till somebody declares the state of emergency for it to qualify, like through your insurance,
I know, so
that they get like 100% reimbursed, or there's some kind of reimbursement for the company as well.
It maybe depends what company it is, but I know cruise ships. If your cruise is canceled,
which is weird because a lot of them operate out of the Bahamas because of tax reasons.
Did you see Trump talking about it? They were asking him if they get the break or some of the trillions of money. He goes, it's a little tricky now.
It is a little tricky.
But he said, that if they register their ships in the United States, I don't see a problem. But that's going to be tough for them right now because how you
think
said
about all
they're
of those
registered
territories.
either in Italy, a lot of what is it? The Disney cruise ship, they're registered in Italy, a lot of them, and then the other ones, Bahamas and all that.
Well, think about all of those places in the Bahamas that rely on tourism for everything. I mean, 90% of their income is tourists or more. I mean, if that cruise ship's not pulling up with people with money in their hands.
All the people at the ports and everything, eh? Port fees, everything.
I didn't even think about that.
Like all the people on the...
Yeah.
Buying, the little stands.
The shippers, the guys fueling it up, the guys,
The tours, right?
Yeah, the tours.
The port fees are huge income.
All the excursion stuff that you do, ziplining tours and crap like that. All those people that rely on that.
That's when you start peeling the layers, right? Just simple as one cruise ship, How much one cruise ship will bring all these people? Maybe that one cruise ship to the guy that does the little artwork there in the stand right by. I mean, that might be a week of living. That one cruise ship, you know. And when you start peeling the layers like that, it's getting scarier, I guess. What kind of a wide impact this is gonna have, or already it's been. But you personally think that the airfares and say cruise ship fares will be
they'll have to
on a load.
They'll have to lower them just to entice people to try them out again. I mean, yeah.
Because now, especially with the cruise ship, you'll be like, oh, something's gonna happen, and we could be like trapped here in a port for 2 weeks, like the other people. So they will have to gain the trust, and people will have to, I guess, get more comfortable again doing that.
Well, and I got a buddy of mine that lives in New York, and I've reached out to him. I'm like, "You guys okay?" I hadn't heard nothing back. I'm like, it's a little weird for him not to answer back. But he works in an industry. He works in the food service industry where he is a food scientist. He goes around and checks quality control on things for a company. And so he's traveling often. And I imagine that right now they're like, yeah, you can't travel. I can only imagine they probably furloughed him.
Yeah.
Because there's no need for him to, they can't really afford to pay him to go anywhere. And if he does go somewhere, he lives in New York. So he's seen as one of those people they have to quarantine. They're not going to let him in the facility. Yeah, true. You know, I'd love to talk to him to find out what's going on. God, I need to have him on the podcast. But Rodney, if you're listening to this, hit me up, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird times, definitely.
Well, I've said this before. I feel lucky in the fact that we are in an area that financially is in a good position. Being in the South, being in a hub of I-95 and I-20, being near Myrtle Beach. I mean, whenever things start opening up again, just like whenever 9/11 happened, Myrtle Beach flourished because they were like, let's go somewhere local. Let's go somewhere we can afford to just drive there and drive home. And Myrtle Beach flourishes because they're built for it. They're like, hey, this has been going on for a long time. You know, I was talking to some guy who owned a pizza place up in Cherry Grove, and he was like, you know, there used to be a time in the summer where we would have slow weeks. He goes, we don't have slow weeks in the winter anymore. He goes, we're busy all the time. And he said, everyone's a little more on edge lately because of the business. This is before this virus broke out. But he was telling me, he goes, everybody's a little bit more on the edge now if you own a business because you constantly have to be thinking about what's the next thing I need to do to grow or to maintain. And he was in a building that had 2 buildings beside it that sold other things. He had bought the other 2 out and just expanded his business to be all in one thing. Okay. Basil's Pizza. He bought all 3 businesses and just expanded his to be one big business. And he was like, yeah, he goes, you know, you got to be ready all the time because you don't know how busy it's going to get. And then whenever this does come around, people are going to travel domestically to start with before they go flying off to different countries or especially to Italy. I mean, who's going to be the first one to be like, let's go on a cruise to Italy?
Maybe it's going to be a free trip for you to be the guinea pig.
Maybe.
I mean, like, I'm in.
I mean, you saw those kids down in Florida. They're like, it'll be fine. We're not going to happen to us. There'll be kids that'll sign up. They'll be like, we're going to do it, man. You're like, yeah, okay. Let's put those people in a bubble when they come back and not let them come back into society for a while.
But I think what you said is right, and especially with Myrtle Beach and surrounding areas, because now, especially with the beaches being closed,
it may be a time where
everybody will want to go at least touch the sand.
Maybe our national parks will take off.
Yeah.
Maybe people will start buying campers and go camping again.
Unless they don't, they don't allow the short-term rentals.
I mean, right now all the campgrounds are closed, all the national parks are closed, but
But you're talking about that people will actually travel domestically and discover the plenty to do and see just within the United States.
I mean, how often do we take Myrtle Beach for granted? It's less than an hour away.
Every summer.
We take it for granted. It's right there. But if you lived in like Oklahoma, all you're hearing is about, let's go check out Myrtle Beach. If you got the opportunity to go, you'd be like, wow, this is really cool. It's beautiful beaches. It's really nice weather and really nice people. But if you were somewhere in the Midwest, you'd be like, I don't know, I keep hearing about this place I want to check out. If you live, like, we went to Hawaii on a cruise and went to 4 different islands, and we did an excursion with this guy, and I said, this is the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life. I said, is this as cool to you because you live here, or is there somewhere else that you dream about of I can't wait to see this? And he goes, well, you're right. I have grown up here my whole life, and I do take it for granted. We all do. He said, but I have a girlfriend who's from Connecticut, and last year I got to go home with her during Christmas time, and I got to see snow. And you saw his eyes light up like he was a child.
This was awesome.
And he goes, I got pictures. Let me show you. He starts showing me pictures of the snow, and everyone's, Connecticut built house, the Cape-style houses with the different, bright paint colors on them and stuff like that, and snow on all the peaks of the houses and lights that are twinkling. And he goes, it was like magic. And I was like, I guess it is. Whatever you get used to, you really take for granted. He wakes
up, open his eyes, and see that.
He's living in what we would consider paradise, but for him, he's like, this is where I live and work, whatever.
Yeah.
I got a buddy of mine that lives in Myrtle Beach, and he had for a while he had lived in New York, and he moved back to Myrtle Beach, and he called me one day. He was a little depressed, and I was like, what's going on? And he's like, I don't know, I'm in a funk, man. I just feel like I'm not doing anything with my life, and nothing's going right, and blah blah blah. And I said, when was the last time you went to the beach? He went, what? I said, you live at Myrtle Beach. When was the last time you actually walked out and put your feet in the sand? And he's quiet for a while, and he goes, I think I came here when I first moved back. He goes, that's been 5 years? I said, okay, so what are you doing tomorrow? He goes, nothing. I go, you're going to the beach. He goes, okay.
See,
he called me a little bit later. He's like, thank you for suggesting that. I totally forgot. This is gorgeous. He's like, I put my feet in the sand. I was like, oh, that's a lovely day. And I was like, yeah, you kind of need that reminder. But
to take advantage of the
let's say that you don't have the ability to then fly to New York or fly to Vegas or fly to, Vegas is going to suffer tremendously for this. Wow. I'm sure they're suffering right now. But
are the casinos closed and everything, right? It's been a while now, at least 2 weeks.
Everybody's clustered together in a casino,
touching the buttons.
Why would you invite that?
Yeah.
Think about how many foreign people come from Asian countries that just come in there and spend bunches of money. I mean, I've seen it walking around inside the casinos. A lot of older people just spending their retirement money. Hey, let's gamble. Let's have fun. Why would they be in the casino right now? Or why would the casino allow them to be in there?
Exactly.
Why would they allow their people to be around it? And all of that stuff depends on people coming in. So, I mean, I think whenever this stuff starts clearing up, you're going to see a lot more domestic travel. You're going to see people traveling to nature. Things of local beauty, the Grand Canyon, Niagara Falls.
Do you believe also that this is going to help our nature to recover a little bit?
Yeah. Think about our carbon
because
our carbon footprint that we throw into the atmosphere all the time from things burning.
And then now
it's all getting a big break.
You have less flights, people don't travel as much.
Yeah.
People. Did you see? I've been in Venice maybe twice, and I know the water there, and I've seen it. But now I've seen the pictures online and stuff. Like all the channels are blue. There's dolphins and swans coming back.
Really?
And you can actually see the bottom of the channels with the fish and stuff. And they said that's been decades in that.
Less motors, less oil, less gas.
And all the gondolas
refuse.
and boats and ferry boats coming in and out. And they have cruise ships coming in too.
There was a satellite view thing they showed of China before this thing started of the pollution in the air. And then they showed it like a month later when this thing was, and it was tremendous the difference you saw in their carbon emissions. And I was like, it was like night and day. I mean, whenever they were cranking out and everything was high economy, you saw the country of China and it was just smoke and like these green little icons, yellow icons all over it, which was like particulates in the air. Yeah. And then a month later, clear sky. There's not a single piece of anything in it. And you're like, that's just a totally different image altogether. I mean, but all of that flows our direction into California, into Alaska, into Canada, and then eventually towards us. You got to think that's going to affect us.
It will, but at the same time, how you said, I think that the nature is getting a huge break right now.
And listen, if anybody out there is in a position of helping other people and you know how to do some things for people, or you have the resources, these folks that are planning for the end of the world, these preppers, reach out to your neighbors and say, hey, you guys need some help? I mean, take a moment and like look to see where you can help people. For us, I mean, we've been lucky enough to get by, and I've got this weird platform that some people are listening to, and it's growing. I don't know how, but it's growing. I guess people have time on their hands and they're sharing or whatever. But
I don't listen to every show, but I listen quite a bit of your shows.
Yeah.
Also, just shout out to the T-shirts. I think they are super sharp.
Yeah. They're comfortable too.
Not sure about the octopus. I didn't post anything about it.
I just did an octopus.
What kind of reviews did you get on that?
Well, so far Quade's the only person that wrote back. He's like, I dig the octopus.
Really?
That's really cool. My sister likes it too.
I'm a
She's like,
simple cut person, whatever.
Yeah.
I think this T-shirt is super
Yeah.
sharp.
The alien head is something that I came up with. It's just it is clip art, but
I'm not strictly against it, but if you would have to go with one or the other, definitely the original.
Well, people like extreme craziness sometimes, and I thought, what if I did something really creative?
Yeah, it's different.
There is an octopus theme that I'm coming out with. I've done some things recently. I created a store on a company called Store Frontier. If you go on storefrontier.com, look up Stuff I Heard. I put a link on the website, www.stuffiheard.com. There is a page that says merch. Click on it. It'll take you to a link. It's a live link. All you do is click on it. It'll take you to it. There's a T-shirt there that's an alien head. It is similar to the design of the new T-shirts that I have, the black and white ones. But it's outlined with a lot of color, and it's like purple and blue and green. Cool. And I got a lot of feedback from that image. Folks reached out on Instagram saying they thought that was their favorite design. I can't afford to do T-shirts with those colors, and I mean, once you go outside of one color, it gets really pricey. Really? So, the company that made these T-shirts, this Terminus Tea company, they're thinking outside the box. They sent out an email to everybody who purchased shirts in the last couple of years, and they said, "Listen, we realize this is a changing economy, this is a changing environment, and we want to be ahead of the game and help you guys and help us stay in business and everything else." So what we're going to do is we're going to create a store online. You create designs, send your audience to us. They can order whatever they want. We'll ship it, we'll sell it, and we'll split the money with you. And I'm like, cool.
That's a very good concept.
I had a lot of people saying they wanted different designs than what's already up. So I reached out and I made a design, and they immediately have it on there, and it's approved. I saw it. I was like, cool. So there's going to be more merchandise coming up. If anybody out there has T-shirt ideas, let me know. Or do your own. Go to Store Frontier and create your own. It's really you just coming up with a design and sending an audience to it and then seeing if it sells. So, again, it's thinking outside the box. It's whatever's the next thing. On the website, stuffiheard.com, I have a video now that plays. It should be automatic when you go on there. It should automatically start up with my stupid face on it going, "Hey, everybody. Click here for this and click here for that." I'm trying to navigate. My dad actually gave me some feedback on it. He's how do I put this
politely?
I'm trying to be as helpful and loving as possible, and I know he is too. His brain is he does so many YouTube videos. I don't even know how many thousands of YouTube videos he has up. It's under our peak. I was noticing recently he has like 28,000 subscribers or something like that. I mean, I'm only up to like I'm getting close to 5. So he's way exceeded what I'm doing. But he and I have this shorthand conversation now where he's like, "Hey, you should do this." And I'm going, "Okay." So now our phone calls are literally him going, "I like this, but you should do this." So it's like, all right. So I could literally spend 6 hours in here working on something, and he'll call up and be like, "I don't like that. You should do this." I'm like, "You're killing me, Smalls." But at the same time, I appreciate all the input, and it is helpful. It is very insightful, because a lot of times you can be too close to something to see the solution. So you need people around you that can talk to you and be like, "Hey, what if you did? What if you do it this way?" So anyway, thanks for the feedback. I guess that's what I'm trying to say very tactfully. Thank you, Dad. Appreciate it. But yeah, so I got a video on there. It'll play. There's also a link on there for friends and guests. I made a page on there I got your picture on it.
I know.
Everybody who's got a picture, if you've got a T-shirt, send me a picture of you wearing the T-shirt. I'll put it on that page. Also, it's going to be on the Instagram, the Stuff I Heard podcast Instagram page, and on the Facebook page. There's all those links that are on the website. I'm just trying to build community. So it's little steps at a time, right?
Yeah, but I love your podcast. I listen to it. I love the logo. It's nice to have somebody and know somebody that does this.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Well, and we can have a conversation like this with anybody about anything.
Also admire that you do 2 episodes a week, and I mean
sometimes more, especially with this downturn. I'm doing more.
I mean, I wouldn't mind to have a podcast one day, but I know right now that I don't have the. I'm not in a place where I can really do it consistently.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
You can always just be on here anytime you want.
That would be cool.
Anytime you want. Just say, hey,
that.
I want to talk about this. Okay.
All right.
It doesn't have to be a certain time. It doesn't have to be we can record it anytime. Anything you want to talk about.
Well,
be like, hey, man,
I
come over.
definitely enjoy it, and I appreciate the second invite.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, anytime. Everybody, if you're out there, stop touching your face, which I've touched my face so much in this podcast.
If they do the count on me, right?
Wash your hands, practice social distancing as much as you can. Reach out to the people you haven't talked to in a while over the phone and just say, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? Try to practice social distancing, but at the same time, try to help out those who need help. And support businesses as much as you can. If you have a local, food place that you like to eat at, call them up and be like, hey, are you guys doing any curbside business? Are you doing takeout? Try to support them as much as you can, because you're going to want them around whenever this is over. And they're people in your community. I mean, it affects so many other people's lives in this process. And, the people who are thinking outside the box are the ones who are going to survive this and come out ahead. So lean on each other, talk to each other, help each other out. That's it. That's all I got. You good?
Yes, sir.
You got anything else you want to say?
I just want everybody to be safe, healthy, and, even we talked kind of catastrophic scenarios right now at times. It's going to be over, and I think as the U.S. and United States of America, everybody will stick together, and the good will prevail. And I believe that by middle of the summer or end of the summer, we'll be able to do our things we like to do and want to do, and hang out, and everybody will work again and pull through this.
Yeah, hey, listen, on the website, stuffIheard.com, go to the contact thing. There's a header. It says contacts. Go on there, log in, tell me who you are, write me a letter. Also, give me ideas. What are you going to do once the economy comes back? Are you thinking about traveling to Disney or getting on a cruise, or are you thinking about, domestically? We're asking the question amongst ourselves, but we're kind of curious what you guys are planning on doing too, because, I mean, it's sort of a question we're all facing. Be part of the conversation. Give in your input, and I'll read them on the podcast. Okay, you guys put them on there. I'll if you want to, I'll give you a shout out, whatever you want. So that's it. That's all I got.
Have a good day.
Thanks for listening, and as always, cue the cow.